Welcome, dear listener. Tonight, we begin a quiet journey through time, across windswept lands and forgotten places. Let your eyes rest, let your breath slow down, and drift with me to a place where two ancient rivers cradle the birthplace of civilization. Between the Tigris and the Euphrates lies Mesopotamia. Long, long ago, before metal clanged and empires roared, before kings shouted from thrones or soldiers marched, there were farmers and fishers, priests and potters, living simple lives along the soft curve of a riverbank. Let the hum of time pull you gently backward until the noise of the modern world melts into the sand. The river breathes. The Tigris flows from the north, its waters gliding over pebbles and reeds. It moves not with force, but with purpose, like a grandmother's lullaby or the rhythm of sleep. And beside it, a man crouches to fill a clay pot. He wears a woolen tunic tied with rope. His hands are strong, but slow no rush in this land of sun and silt. His home is a small hut, shaped of mud bricks and straw. The roof is flat, shaded with woven mats. Inside, his children sleep. One holds a wooden toy, another, a flat clay tablet etched with soft marks a child's first lesson in cuneiform. From a distance, you hear the gentle murmur of water flowing and the quiet call of morning birds. The air smells of earth and wet stone. Not much grows in the summer heat, but date palms lean over the water like old poets, and reeds rustle with stories carried on the breeze. The city of Ur. A short walk away lies Ur, a city of simple wonder. Its walls are thick, not to keep enemies out, but to keep stories in. People move slowly here. Women in linen robes carry baskets of herbs. Men drag small carts of fish or grain. Children chase goats between sun-baked homes. In the center of the city rises the Great Ziggurat, not a temple of war or power, but a staircase to the stars. At sunrise, priests light incense atop the ziggurat. Smoke curls into the pale sky. Their chants are not loud. They murmur prayers to Enlil, god of wind. Inside the temple, it is dark and cool. You can hear your own breath echo on the stone. A priest places a clay bowl before a statue, filled with dates and honey. This is not a world of urgency. It is a world of patience, of tradition, of slow hands shaping wet clay. The scribe. In a small shaded corner of Ur, a scribe leans over his wooden desk. A piece of damp clay rests before him. He dips his reed stylus and begins to write. A record of grain deliveries, a list of star positions, a dream he had about the river gods. His fingers are stained with dust. He writes slowly, deliberately, as if each mark must be perfect. There are no books here, only tablets, heavy, silent, eternal. Behind him, a cat sleeps. The walls are carved with spirals. A breeze slips through the window and rustles his tunic. He does not look up. He continues to write as the sun continues to fall. As the sky darkens, farmers return from the fields. Their sandals are coated in dry mud. Their faces shine with sweat and quiet joy. They walk in pairs, softly laughing. Some hum old songs. Some carry bundles of wheat, tied in thick stalks. Farther away, oxen pull a cart slowly across the plain. The sound of their hooves is steady, a drumbeat for the end of the day. Dinner is a quiet affair. Stew made of lentils and onions, bread baked over hot stones, dates eaten straight from the tree. Children sit cross-legged and listen to their grandfather, who tells a story of a spirit who lives in the river's bend. He speaks slowly, pausing between each sentence. Outside, the wind softens. The birds fall silent, and the stars begin to blink above the plain. Nightfall, over the ziggurat. From the top of the temple, you can see the river curve like a sleeping snake. The huts look like scattered stones. The torches glow like fireflies. The priests sing once more, low and long. A sound that does not ask to be heard. It simply is. The moon rises. A dog barks, then sleeps again. The air grows cooler. The city sighs. The river flows. And the sands of time, unseen and unhurried, continue to whisper Mesopotamia dreams. And so do you, tonight. We drift further east, beyond the familiar winds of Mesopotamia, into the hush of an even older place. A land where the rivers meet not with noise, but with grace. Where the people build cities with no kings, no armies, no glory-seeking conquests. Only calm, rhythm, and balance. Close your eyes now. Let your breath fall into sync with the ancient current. As we arrive at the edge of the Indus River, let the world fall away and step quietly into the silent streets of the Indus Valley civilization, a city without chaos. The city stretches before you like a dream drawn in sun-warmed brick. Wide, straight roads lined with clay homes, courtyards, wells, gardens, and silence. This is not a city of shouting merchants or soldiers. No trumpets, no weapons. Just the soft shuffle of sandals, the distant drip of water from open drains. Here, in this ancient city perhaps, Mohenjo-Daro or Harappa life moves slowly, but with intention. Women in patterned robes sweep their stone porches. Children roll clay balls across the street. An old man sits beneath a neem tree, carving tiny symbols into a soapstone seal. No grand temples, no gold statues, no names carved in stone. Only the gentle rhythm of daily life. And yet, it is perfect. The wells and the waters throughout the city, wells bloom like flowers. Each home has one nearby. The people here understand cleanliness and peace. They bathe not with pomp, but with quiet dignity, pouring cool water from brass bowls, watching it trickle down worn stone floors. A girl carries a clay jar to the well. She hums softly. The jar dips into the water with a muted splash. She waits. No rush. A breeze lifts the end of her shawl. Behind her, a boy kneels beside a small bathhouse, rubbing fragrant leaves onto a smooth gray stone. He is not rich. No one here is. And yet, no one is poor either. Everyone has enough. The market that whispers. As you walk farther, the marketplace unfolds like a scroll. Open air stalls, shaded by palm leaf canopies. Pots of turmeric, jars of honey, bundles of dyed cotton. But there are no cries of, buy this, or best price. Only murmurs, smiles, nods. A woman examines a string of beads, red, blue, white. She hands a small token of carved seal to the trader. Each seal is different. An elephant, a fish, a horned animal beneath strange writing. This is how they communicate. Not with loud voices, but with symbols and understanding. A small group gathers to watch a potter. He turns his wheel slowly. Clay rises under his fingers. A shape forms, smooth and even. A home of stillness. Let's step into one of the homes. The threshold is low. Inside, it is cool. The walls are smooth, built from uniform bricks burnt hard in kilns, fitted with care. A shelf holds small figurines, a seated mother, a bowl, a bird with folded wings. In the corner, there's a raised platform, perhaps a bed or a seat for storytelling. A small fire glows in the kitchen pit. The smell of flatbread fills the room, and lentils, and cumin. A child is tracing patterns in the dust. Her mother braids her hair. Outside, the city sighs beneath the afternoon sun. No noise, no fear. Only the heartbeat of the river and the rustle of peepal trees. Evening on the walls. As dusk nears, the city lights up not with flames, but with the reflection of stars on water. The baths fill again. The rooftops hold quiet conversations. Old songs are sung in low voices. A group of men gather around a painted board. It looks like a game, perhaps chess in its earliest form. Each move is slow, deliberate. They nod to one another. Their laughter is soft, like wind through wheat. The air cools. Frogs sing near the river, and from a distant hill, you hear a flute. One long, wavering note that seems to stretch into time itself. The Great Bath. Now, let us visit the Great Bath, a stone basin in the heart of the city, surrounded by quiet rooms. No crowd, no ceremony, only stillness. People enter in silence. They rinse, sit by the edge, and gaze into the water's still surface. Some say it's for ritual, others for reflection, but all agree it is sacred. Not because a god demands it, but because the people respect the act of calm. As you sit by the bath, your thoughts begin to fade. The world becomes water and stone, and your breath matches the wind. A civilization without kings. There are no statues of rulers here, no thrones, no names carved in triumph. Instead, there is balance. Streets aligned to the stars, homes with private drains, granaries built not for hoarding, but for sharing. Even the writing, still undeciphered, seems soft like a river trying to speak. What did they call themselves? We may never know, but in their silence, they speak louder than empires. The quiet night falls. The moon climbs high. The bricks of the homes hold the warmth of the day. Children dream on mats of cotton and grass. Mothers hum the same lullabies sung 1,000 years ago. The Indus River moves gently, endlessly, beside a city made of dust, water, and wonder. As the night deepens, the silence grows rich. Not empty, but full of peace, full of dignity, full of a civilization that did not shout, but whispered. And in their whispers, we too can rest. Welcome to ancient Egypt, but not the Egypt of pharaohs and power, not the Egypt of conquest and crown. No, tonight, we visit the soft-breathing heart of the land, where time flows as slowly as the river itself. Close your eyes. Let the desert heat melt into the cool hush of evening, and allow the timeless sands of Egypt to carry you gently into sleep. The river of life, the Nile, flows endlessly, like breath. Its surface shimmers under the final rays of the sun. Papyrus plants wave in the wind, and herons glide across the horizon. Along the banks, the world is calm. Women wash linens in shallow eddies. Children laugh as they scoop water into clay jars. And farmers in linen skirts walk quietly through soft, damp soil. They do not shout. They do not rush, for they know the rhythm of life here is sacred. The river gives. The river takes. But tonight, the river rests, and so do its people. Village Beneath the palm trees, a small village nestles under palm trees, their fronds whispering in the dusk. Mud brick homes glow in the amber light of oil lamps. You walk past a woman grinding grain between two stones. Her motion is smooth, slow, practiced. In a nearby home, a young boy shapes a lump of clay into a small cat. Beside him, his grandmother hums an old lullaby, a tune that floats through the window and settles in the night air. A cat slinks past your feet. It does not look up. It knows this land. It has walked these paths for generations. In the courtyard, figs are drying in wide baskets. Someone stirs lentils in a pot. The aroma of cumin and garlic fills the air. Time here is soft. Nothing demands your attention. Everything invites it. The call of the temple. Just beyond the village lies a templenot, one of gold or conquest, but of stone, simplicity, and song. At its gates, two priests light bundles of incense. Smoke curls slowly into the twilight. The scent of myrrh and lotus rises with the stars. Inside, a scribe sits on the cool floor, chiseling gentle hieroglyphs into smooth limestone. He writes not of war, but of flood cycles, of prayers, of dreams seen in the early morning haze. The walls tell stories, not loud ones, but eternal ones, of Ra's morning rise, of the lotus blooming at dawn, of a sky goddess who stretched across the night to cradle the stars. No one speaks loudly here. Even the gods, it seems, prefer to whisper. A walk along the Nile. Let's walk now. The path beside the river is lined with reeds. Each step feels soft beneath your sandals. You pass an old fisherman, his boat tied to a fig tree. He waves quietly. Beside him, his son mends a net. The string slips between his fingers like thread through a loom. Across the water, you see lights flicker from the windows of homes. Laughter echoes faintly, but it fades quickly into the hush of the river. Lotus flowers float beside you. Their petals are closed now, ready to sleep. Like you, the scribe's table. In another village, a young scribe leans over a low table. His scroll is made of fresh papyrus. His reed brush dips into dark ink. He writes a letter to the future, not to a king or a warrior, but to a friend. He writes, "Today the flood returned. The fields drank deeply. We thanked the gods, and I thought of you. May the river find you well." He signs it with a simple lotus flower, then folds the scroll and places it beneath a lamp. He stares at the flame. It flickers. It calms. He blinks slowly and lets the silence settle over his shoulders. The garden of the artisan. Not far away, an artisan's garden glows under the stars. Pomegranate trees hang heavy with fruit. A small fountain whispers beside marble benches. The artisan carves stone in the morning. But at night, he gardens. He plucks herbs, waters his flowers, and listens to the wind move through papyrus leaves. He has no desire for riches, only peace. He once carved a statue of a sleeping ibis and placed it in the garden. Tonight, moonlight touches its wings, and for a moment, it looks as if the stone bird might stir, but it does not. It sleeps, as all things do, beneath the Egyptian sky, the pyramid's shadow. Far in the distance, the shadow of a great pyramid reaches across the desert. But tonight, it is not a monument to power. It is a resting place, a reminder that even the grandest things must one day be still. A land of quiet coastlines, soft waves, and the glow of glass melting beneath a calm night sky. Let go of the day. Let your mind walk barefoot across the stone harbors of Tyre and Sidon, and allow the flicker of the furnaces and the lull of the Mediterranean to guide you gently into rest. The shoreline, at dusk, the waves touch the shore like silk fingers. They leave behind soft foam, shells, and traces of distant lands. A boy walks the beach, a woven basket in his hands, collecting shards of colored glass that have washed in from far-off ships. Blue, green, amber. Each piece smooth as polished marble, warmed by the sun and cooled by the sea. Behind him, the wind stirs the sails of docked boats. The air smells of salt, fig, and cedar resin. Fishermen fold nets without speaking. They nod to one another. They know this coast. They trust its rhythm. And as the sky begins to turn a deeper shade of lavender, the city's hearths begin to glow. The glow of the furnace. In a stone workshop, tucked into the hillside, a fire glows from within a clay furnace. Not wild, not fierce, but steady, like a heartbeat. A man's robe soot-stained. His eyes calm stokes the fire gently. He does not rush. He waits. Beside him, long rods lean against the wall. One of them he lifts and dips into a pot of glowing sand. He turns the rod slowly, and a bubble forms clear, molten, alive. He breathes into it, delicately, evenly, like whispering a story to a sleeping child. The glass grows round, then long, then narrow at the neck. He spins, he shapes. The fire reflects in his eyes, but there is no urgency in his hands. It is as though the glass already knows what it must become, and he is merely guiding it there. The House of Fragrance. Next to the workshop, a small house with a garden blooms in the dusk. Jasmine vines wrap the stone walls, and inside, shelves of tiny bottles glisten under lamplight. A woman sits on a low stool, her fingers deftly sealing a new glass vial with warm wax. Inside, she's placed a blend of lavender, cedar oil, and fig blossom. She lifts the bottle to the light. It shines green with hints of gold. Not for royalty, not for wealth, but for memory. Later, she will trade the scent to a traveler who will carry it across the sea. And when he opens it months from now, the shores of Phoenicia will return to him in a single breath. She places the vial gently with the others and lights a small stick of frankincense. The smoke rises, and the night deepens. The silent streets of Tyre. Farther inland, the streets of Tyre wind between homes built from warm stone. Their rooftops are flat, their windows draped in linen. A child chases a goat between market stalls, quiet now. The day's business done. The tiles beneath your feet are worn smooth. Here and there, bits of colored glass sparkle in the cracks, forgotten fragments from generations of artisans. You pass a fountain. Water trickles gently. A clay jar leans beside it, its curve etched with curling script. A man leans in a doorway, sipping from a cup. He sees you and nods. No words, only acknowledgement. You are among friends, even if they do not know your name. The boats that dream at the harbor. Wooden boats sway like cradles. The water laps gently against the docks. Their sails are furled, their decks empty. Each boat holds a different dream. One carries purple dye rare and deep. Another holds glass beads sealed in clay jars. A third waits for morning when it will sail to Cyprus. Its cargo, silence, skill, and stories. But for now, they rest. A young sailor sleeps beside a coil of rope. His head rises and falls with the rhythm of the tide. His dreams, like the sea, are endless. The Master's Garden, beyond the city, on a quiet terrace overlooking the cliffs, a master glassmaker tends to his garden. He has worked for 40 years. He has blown vases that sit in distant temples. He has taught apprentices with shaking hands and steady hearts. But here, in the garden, he plants sage. He waters time. He watches the stars rise. A small bowl of colored fragments rests on the table. He picks up a blue one, holds it to the light, and smiles. Like the sea, he whispers, then places it back down. He does not need to say more. The sea knows what he means. The sound of rest, as night embraces Phoenicia. The fires dim, the tools are cleaned, the glass is cooled, doors are shut, lamps are lowered, and a soft wind dances through the palm fronds. You hear distant music, a reed flute, a drum played slowly, a voice humming something without words. In the dark, everything glows, not brightly, but softly, like glass under starlight. Legacy in silence. Phoenicians never built pyramids. They carved no giant statues, but they blew glass from sand. They wove purple from snails. They sent their quiet artistry across oceans. Tonight, our journey carries us into a land of soft hills and slow-moving shadows, to a time before Rome, before legions and marble, when the land was ruled not by emperors, but by silence, sunlight, and the steady rhythm of earth and sky. Welcome to Etruria, a land of sleepy villages, carved tombs, painted stories, and a people who live not for war, but for the quiet joys of life. Let the wind through the olive trees lull you. Let the dusty stone paths guide your steps. And let the ancient hills of the Etruscans carry you into peaceful sleep. The land of the hills. The Etruscan land rises gently, like waves of stone and green. Vines curl around wooden posts, and the air smells of rosemary and earth. Small homes sit nestled among cypress trees. Their walls are made of terracotta bricks. Their roofs curve like the shells of resting turtles. A farmer kneels in his vineyard. He trims the leaves slowly, his hands stained purple from the morning harvest. He hums a tune passed down from his grandmother, a song meant to calm the vines. Whether it works or not, he sings anyway. The sun rests low in the sky, and the hills breathe softly beneath its golden touch. The village of Veii. In the quiet village of Veii, horses drink from a stone trough near the square. An old man feeds pigeons with grain from a worn pouch. Children play a game with stones and chalk, taking turns without argument. At the edge of the village, a woman shapes clay into a bowl. Her fingers move slowly, as if remembering each motion from dreams. She adds no decoration, just the soft imprint of her thumb. A mark that says, "This was made with care." Inside her home, bread bakes over embers. Figs rest in a woven basket, and behind the house, a goat lies asleep, breathing in rhythm with the rising moon. Painted tombs. Not far beyond the fields, the earth opens like a quiet book. Carved into the hills are tombs not cold or grim, but warm with color and care. Inside, the walls are painted, dancers with raised arms, banquets with smiling guests, musicians playing soft lyres. Death, for the Etruscans, was not an end, but a continuation. A slow walk into another room, where music and food and laughter remained. A priest kneels within one such tomb, leaving a small bowl of wine, a sprig of thyme, and a carved figure of a bird. He speaks no words, only silence, only stillness. He stands and steps out into the sun, leaving the tomb to sleep again. The music of the fields. In the distance, a shepherd plays a reed pipe. The notes drift lazily across the grass, startling no one, inviting every ear. His sheep gather nearby, their bells clinking in time with his melody. He plays for no audience, only the hills, only the air, only the sky. The melody is soft, unwritten, gone as soon as it ends. But it lingers, like the warmth left on stone after the sun has passed. The artisan's touch. In a low stone workshop, a craftsman carves an ivory comb. His hands are patient, his eyes quiet. He does not measure. He trusts his fingers. The comb is simple, but it will last. Passed from daughter to daughter, buried beside its final owner in a tomb not yet dug. Behind him, a half-finished statue watches. Its face is serene, its eyes half closed, as if it too is on the verge of sleep. The artisan puts down his tools, rinses his hands in a bowl of water, and steps outside to watch the stars appear. Evening Bonki. As night falls, a family gathers in a courtyard. They recline on low couches, sharing olives, cheese, and bread. A jug of wine passes slowly between them. Each sip is small. Each moment is held. They do not speak often. They do not need to. Their closeness fills the air, as surely as the scent of the stew warming on the hearth. A daughter sings a soft song, her voice no louder than a whisper. Her father smiles, but does not interrupt. The stars rise one by one. The air cools, and the fire in the center of the courtyard crackles like an old friend telling stories. The sleep of the city beyond the villages. Etruscan cities rest under the cover of trees. Tarquinia, Cerveteri, Populonia names, spoken softly, like prayers. Their streets are narrow, their stones smooth with use. Each doorway holds a vine, each window holds a breeze. In a temple, a priest lights a final candle. Its flame flickers, reflecting off bronze mirrors and golden bowls filled with dried herbs. Outside, cats curl on rooftops. Dogs yawn and stretch, then curl again. The city exhales and sleeps. A civilization remembered. The Etruscans left no grand empire, no towering monuments, no endless conquests, but they left songs, pottery, painted walls, and a way of life built on harmony, not power. Their art was gentle, their homes warm, their language soft, and now mostly lost. Yet their presence lingers in the hills, in the wind, in the slow and sacred pace of living. The moon over Etruria. The moon glows above the hills. It casts silver over olive groves, over rooftops, over sleeping sheep. A fox steps silently between vineyards. An owl blinks from a branch. A wind chime sways gently, tapping out a rhythm older than memory. In a distant home, a child dreams of dancing gods and endless fields. In another, an elder remembers a song they once heard while harvesting grapes. And across the land, every breath becomes one. The hills sleep, and so do you. Let your breath grow long. Let your thoughts float like lotus petals on a pond. And allow the jade breeze of ancient China to carry you into the dream beyond dreams. The mountain path. A narrow trail winds through pine forests, lined with moss-covered stones and tiny white flowers. A traveler walks slowly, a cane in one hand, a scroll case in the other. He is a scholar not of war, but of clouds. He stops often to listen, to bird song, to the echo of wind through cedar branches, to the hush of snowmelt trickling down the rock. He has walked for days, perhaps weeks, but there is no urgency in his step. He walks not to reach a place, but to remember how it feels to be still. At the summit, he sits on a flat stone, opens a small pouch of dried tea, boils water in a brass pot. He drinks slowly. The steam carries notes of plum blossom and pine, and the mountains, unmoved by time, watch in silence. The bamboo courtyard. Far below, in a quiet village, a family lives within a walled courtyard. Tall bamboo rises like green pillars, and a koi pond shimmers beneath lotus leaves. A grandmother tends to the garden. She snips herbs with silver scissors, careful not to disturb the bees. Inside, a child copies characters from a scroll, each stroke deliberate, each pause filled with breath. On the wall, a painting of a crane in flight. It does not boast. It simply is. At dusk, the family gathers beneath a paper lantern. Bowls of rice. Steamed greens. Tofu with ginger. They speak in low tones. They chew slowly. They laugh gently. And when the lantern dims, they do not light another. They follow the moonlight back to their dreams. The studio of ink and silence. In a modest house by the river, a calligrapher sits before a long table. His brush is horsehair. His inkstone cold and smooth. He breathes in, then out, then begins. Each character flows like wind through reeds. He is not writing a letter, nor a poem, but simply writing, letting the hand say what the voice cannot. Outside, a sparrow lands on the windowsill, looks in, then flies away. The calligrapher does not look up. He smiles. He dips the brush again, and time ceases to exist. The river temple, along the Yangtze, a small temple sits carved into the cliff. Its doors open to water, and the wind carries incense into the clouds. Inside, monks sweep stone floors. They do not hurry. Their feet whisper. Their robes rustle. A bell chimes, low, mellow, like thunder wrapped in velvet. A single monk sits by the altar. He watches a flame flicker, then steadies it with his breath. He offers a bowl of steamed rice, a sprig of cherry blossom, and a folded paper crane. He bows, not in fear, but in harmony. Outside, the river flows, never shouting, always moving. The potter's hands. In a town famed for porcelain, a potter wakes before dawn. The kiln is already warm, the clay already waiting. She kneads it with both palms, feeling its weight, its silence. She throws it onto the wheel. It spins. She shapes it, not forcing, guiding. A vase, wide vase, tall neck, rounded shoulders. She smooths the surface with a wet cloth, then etches a single plum branch across its curve. No signature, no brand, only grace. By nightfall, it rests beside others, each one slightly different, each one entirely enough. The tea pavilion. In the shadow of an old pagoda, a pavilion stands over a lake. Its wooden floor creaks softly beneath padded footsteps. A tea master prepares the space. A low table, a clay pot, porcelain cups as thin as petals. Guests arrive without shoes, without questions. They bow. They sit. They wait. The master pours hot water over leaves. Green, delicate, slightly curled. Steam rise. Silence deepens. Each guest drinks not to quench thirst, but to receive time. One sip, then two, then stillness. The orchard beyond time, beyond the village walls, a plum orchard blooms. White petals drift like snow, settling on mossy ground. An old couple walks hand in hand. They do not speak. They do not need to. They have walked this orchard every spring for 40 years. Each time the blossoms seem softer, the air more tender. A hawk circles above. A fox slips through the trees, and the wind plays with the petals as if reluctant to let them fall. At the heart of the orchard, a stone bench waits. They sit. They close their eyes and let the years rest with them. The dream of the crane in a distant house, a child sleep, the breath of the forest. The forest does not sleep, but it does slow. Monkeys retreat into branches. Parrots tuck their beaks under wings, and the insects begin their soft, endless song, a chorus that never rushes, never demands, only invites. Beneath the trees, a wide trail curves through the underbrush. Lit by fireflies, softened by moss, it leads to a city where stone and leaf have lived in peace for centuries. Above, the stars bloom, and among them, the great turtle, the seven macaw, the hero twins. The forest remembers. Even if you do not, the city of Copan, nestled among hills and sacred streams, Copan glows in the twilight. Not from street lamps, but from torches set in clay bowls, and from the gentle sheen of limestone, kissed by moonlight. Stone steps lead upward to a quiet plaza. A man sweeps it with a palm broom, his pace as slow as the movement of stars. Nearby, a child balances a woven basket on her head. Inside, maize, beans, squash, the food of the earth, carried with care. At the plaza's edge, a stela rises like a stone tree, its surface etched with glyphs, each line a memory, each curve a voice. The past is not dead here. It speaks, softly, clearly, with no need to shout. The observatory hill, high above the city, a rounded temple watches the sky. A priest kneels at its center, his eyes fixed on Venus, rising just above the horizon. He does not pray. He observes. He records. Stars are not symbols. They are calendars. They are teachers. They are clocks made of fire and patience. He marks their movement on bark paper, carefully, tenderly, like recording the heartbeat of time itself. Behind him, a low drum beats once, twice, then silence. A message has been received. The gods are listening. The weaver's story. In a wooden home with a thatched roof, a weaver sits at her loom. She threads crimson through gold and turquoise through cream. Each thread carries meaning. Each pattern tells a tale of the sun god's journey, of the maize god's sacrifice, of a deer that became a star. She weaves slowly, not because she must, but because beauty deserves no hurry. Beside her, her granddaughter sleeps, cradled in a sling of woven cloth, breathing deeply to the rhythm of the shuttle moving left, then right. Temple shadows. The largest pyramid casts a long shadow. It touches the ball court, the plaza, the garden of cacao. Two boys chase each other across the stones, laughing, free. A young woman places an offering at the temple base. A flower, a feather, a pinch of cacao powder. She closes her eyes, says no words. But the silence is enough. Above her, carved stone serpents gaze down, not in judgment, but in memory. They have seen generations come and go, and still the stars rise. Still the maze grows. Still the night is kind. The garden at midnight, beyond the temple walls, a garden waits, planted with medicinal herbs, yarrow, copal, white sage. A healer walks barefoot among them. She hums to the plants as she gathers them gently. She speaks their names. She thanks them for their gift. In her home, she will grind them into paste, wrap them in leaves, and store them in clay jars. Not for riches, not for trade, but for comfort. A cure for a sore throat, a balm for aching joints, a tea for a restless child. Her hands know the weight of healing. They have held many forms of pain and given them sleep in return. The storyteller's fire. At the edge of the village, a fire burns in a circle of stones. Children gather close, their faces lit by flickering amber. An old man begins to speak. His voice is soft, scraped with age, but sure. He tells of the hero twins, their battle in the underworld, their clever tricks, their final transformation into the moon and sun. He tells it slowly. He lets the pauses breathe. The children do not interrupt. They lean forward. They wait. The story wraps around them like a blanket of time. And when it ends, no one claps. No one cheers. They simply smile and listen to the fire finish the tale. Stone and vine. The Maya did not cut down the forest. They lived within it. Temples grew with trees. Homes nestled in shade. Paths wound between trunks, not through them. A snake sleeps coiled beside a root. A spider spins a silver web across a doorway. And no one shouts. No one runs. They step lightly. They greet the land, not as conquerors but as guests. Even now, in dreams, the jungle listens. The codex maker, in a quiet chamber lit by shell lamps. A man paints a codex. Not a book with pages, but one long sheet folded like an accordion, made of bark, lime, and careful preparation. He uses brushes made from animal hair. His paints, ground minerals, tree sap, and soot. He draws a calendar, a procession of gods, a ritual of planting. Each figure wears feathers, each god a different mask, each moment captured forever in silence. The path to Gyan. The stones beneath your feet are smooth from centuries. Lanterns flicker gently behind lattice doors. You walk beneath wooden eaves, where paper windows glow with warm light. A woman in a silk kimono passes. She moves like mist, every step deliberate, every breath balanced. The scent of sandalwood trails behind her. Somewhere nearby, water trickles into a stone basin. A deer-scare bamboo clapper ticks. Not loudly, just enough to mark the passing of time. Above, the sky is navy blue, cloudless, immense, and still. The Zen garden, hidden within a quiet temple wall. A Zen garden stretches out in perfect calm. White gravel, raked with care. Rocks arranged like islands in a sea of stillness. A monk walks the garden's edge. He carries no tool, no scroll, only presence. He stops. He bows. He breathes. The silence is not empty. It is full of intention, of depth, of understanding without words. A crow lands on the gate. The monk smiles. He bows again. Nothing disturbs the peace, not even the crow. The forest of Arashiyama. Bamboo rises like pillars of jade, hundreds, thousands. They sway as one, as though listening to an unseen rhythm. You walk the narrow path. It twists gently. The light filters down in golden stripes, every footstep muffled, every breath cooler. A fox crosses your path. It looks at you, then disappears into the green. Perhaps it was a spirit, perhaps just curious, but it leaves you still, still and awed. You do not rush, you do not speak, you only walk, and the bamboo bows with you. The Bridge of Light. At the edge of the district, a red bridge spans a quiet stream. Children once ran across it in summer. Now it waits, its rails polished by time. A man sits at its center, a shamisen resting across his lap. He plucks a single note, then another. The melody is like memory faint, floating, familiar though never heard before. He closes his eyes as he plays, and the bridge glows in the lantern light. You pause. You listen. You become the music. And when it ends, all that remains is silence, and the sound of the water below. The tea house. A door slides open. A woman kneels beside a tatami mat. She bows deeply. You step in, remove your shoes, and bow back. Inside, the tea house is wood and air and hush. The host prepares the tea, matcha, bright and green, whisked to a delicate foam. She sets the bowl before you, two hands, fingertips aligned. You lift it, turn it slightly, sip. The taste is both bitter and soft, like remembering something beautiful and sad. You bow. She bows. And time, for a moment, forgets itself. The calligrapher's chamber. In a modest room lined with scrolls, a calligrapher dips her brush into black ink. She inhales, then releases the breath into a single perfect stroke. She is not writing a sentence. She is writing a season, a memory, a breeze. One character per page, one thought per day. She pins each scroll along the wall. They flutter, slightly, when the door opens. Outside, plum blossoms begin to fall. She watches, then paints one in the corner of the final scroll. Small, delicate, complete. The garden of still water. Behind a shrine, a pond rests beneath maple trees. Their leaves shift from red to gold, to sleep. Koi circle slowly, their fins brushing the surface with soft ripples. A boy feeds them rice grains from a paper pouch. He smiles, not because of joy, but because he is part of the scene, and the scene is content. A turtle lifts its head. Sunlight dapples its shell. A dragonfly hovers, then lands on a reed. The boy's grandmother waits on a bench, not calling him, not hurrying him, just waiting. With the patience of autumn, the night of lanterns, the evening deepens. Lanterns are lit by careful hands, red, white, painted with cranes and waves and mountains. They float down the river in long lines, each flame a wish, a memory, a farewell. People gather along the banks. They speak in whispers. Children hold onto their mother's sleeves. One by one, the lanterns drift. Some spin slowly. Some glide together. Their reflections double the stars above. And when they disappear into the dark, no one cries. They only bow. Kyoto sleeps. The city folds itself gently into night. Paper doors are shut. Lanterns are lowered. A monk extinguishes a final candle. A geisha removes her hairpin and places it beside a mirror. A cat curls on a warm rooftop tile. A crow tucks its head beneath a wing, and the wind moves slowly now, as though careful not to wake anyone. Kyoto dreams of brushstrokes and plum wine, of mist rising from mountains, of footsteps that leave no mark, a civilization of ceremony. Japan did not build empires with shouting. It shaped time with ritual. It honored impermanence. It carved space for grace. It left behind not noise, but nuance. In gardens, in poetry, in a single cup of tea, the land between rivers. The Tigris moves with quiet urgency. The Euphrates flows like a lullaby. Between them, reeds sway in the wind. Cranes wade through shallow waters. And farmers lead oxen through canals carved by hand. The earth here is soft, dark, fertile. A child presses her foot into the mud. She watches the print fill slowly with water, then vanish. A sign of time, of impermanence, of life flowing, never held. In the distance, smoke curls gently from the roof of a clay oven. Bread is baking. The smell carries across the river. Uruk at dusk. Uruk rises from the horizon, in gentle steps of baked brick and quiet worship. Walls, high and curved, protect a city not from enemies, but from winds and dust. The sun dips low. The ziggurat casts a long shadow. Torches are lit. Their glow reflects in silver on the canals. A scribe walks toward the temple, a basket of tablets on his back, each one inscribed with cuneiform small wedges pressed in soft clay. He does not rush. The words can wait. In the square, a musician plucks a lyre. She sings softly, not to an audience, but to the stars. The temple of Inanna. The priestess walks through a long corridor, lined with painted tiles and the scent of oil lamps. She carries a bowl of barley, a feather, a string of lapis beads. At the altar, she arranges them without hesitation. Each item has meaning, each placement a prayer. She kneels. She breathes. She listens. No words are spoken aloud, but something ancient hears her still. Inanna, the morning and evening star, does not answer in voice. She answers in stillness. The potter's courtyard. In a sunlit courtyard, a potter turns her wheel. Her hands are firm, but gentle. The clay spins beneath her fingers, rising slowly into form. A bowl, a jug, a vessel for lentils, or water, or air. Beside her, children shape their own small pots. Their laughter is soft, their joy unmeasured. In the corner, older pots rest beneath damp cloth, waiting for the kiln, waiting for their final breath of fire. The potter smiles. She hums a lullaby her mother sang. The song has no words, only memory, only love. The garden by the canal. A man tends to his garden by moonlight. The canal beside it carries silver reflections. He grows dates, onions, lentils. He does not speak to them, but he listens. The wind rustles the palms. A frog croaks once. Then silence returns. He harvests what is ready. Not all. Never all. His wife waits in their small home. A clay lamp flickers inside. Their daughter sleeps beside a string of dried figs. He enters without sound, places the food on a low table, and the night holds them gently, as a river holds a reed. The astronomer's tower, high above the market, above the alleys and oil lamps, a tower stands open to the stars. An old man sits cross-legged, a stylus in one hand, a tablet balanced on his knee. He charts the sky, Venus, Jupiter, the moon in its many moods. His lines are straight. His mind is still. He does not ask the stars for meaning. He accepts what they show. A breeze moves through the tower. He pulls his cloak tighter. smiles, and makes one more mark on a tablet of time. The weaver's room. In the heart of the city, a loom stands tall and quiet. A woman draws threads from dyed wool, saffron, mint, earth brown, and river blue. She weaves not just cloth, but ceremony. Each pattern marks a harvest, a birth, a new moon. Her daughter hands her the shuttle. She thanks her with a nod and continues. The fabric grows, the story grows, and the world, just for a moment, feels whole. The market sleeps. The market, once filled with traders and spice, is now empty, but not dead. Baskets of dried apricots rest beneath awnings. Ceramic jars line low wooden shelves. A dog curls beside a folded rug. Its ears twitch in dreams. A pair of sandals, left beside a stall, catch the moonlight. And the canopy above, stitched from woven palm and old cloth, moves gently in the wind, like sails of ships waiting to be born. The whisper of cuneiform. In a scriptorium lit by oil and patience, scribes press language into clay. The stylus moves with care, tilted at just the right angle. They do not rush. Each wedge matters. Each gap between signs is a breath of meaning. One scribe finishes a line, reads it silently, then sets it to dry beside others. A wall of words, a chorus of thought. The room is warm, smelling of earth and smoke and wisdom. They continue, as if writing could keep night itself from vanishing. A civilization remembered. Mesopotamia did not fade in fire. It faded in sand, in wind, in rivers, changing their path. But its stories remain. On tablets, on temple walls, in the curve of a pot, the tilt of a star chart, the hush between footsteps. It taught us time. It taught us math. It taught us that to write is to remember, and that to remember is to sleep peacefully. The final tablet. A scholar, young and tired, places a final tablet on the shelf. He exhales. He bows and steps into the night. The sky is filled with stars. The city is filled with silence. He walks along the riverbank, barefoot, to feel the warmth of the earth. And the river whispers, "You are part of it all. Sleep now, beneath the cradle sky. Let the reeds sway. Let the clay cool. Let the stars record your dreams. Good night, from Mesopotamia, the river that dreams." The Nile glows beneath the moon, its surface silvered, its current unhurried. Palm trees sway softly along its banks. Lotus blossoms open to starlight. A fisherman pulls his boat with no urgency. He hums a lullaby his grandfather sang. He casts a woven net, then leans back and lets the current speak. In the distance, a heron lifts into the air, its wings wide, its flight soundless. Even the crocodiles sleep, tucked into reeds like forgotten myths. The fields of flood and harvest. When the river swells, it leaves behind rich black silt. The farmers know this rhythm. It is older than kings. In the morning, they walk the rows barefoot, planting barley, checking dates, tending onions. A woman hums as she harvests flax. Her child follows, carrying a basket too large for her arms. They laugh. They pause. They drink from a clay cup passed between them. There is no hurry, only returning, only rhythm. The Temple of Dendera. Columns rise like petrified trees, carved with stars, lotuses, and the gaze of Hathor. Inside, the light is dim, cool, still. A priest lights incense. He waves the smoke gently toward a golden shrine, not demanding blessings, only honoring them. Behind him, a scribe records the ritual, each motion translated into signs on scrolls. The goddess listens, not because she must, but because she is present. Outside, a cat slips between the shadows, and the moon rises, quietly, overwhelming nothing. The village of potters, beneath the hills of Thebes. A village wakes with the smell of clay. Potters gather near the kilns. They laugh in low tones, their hands coated in red earth. A boy watches his father form a bowl. The wheel turns. The vessel grows. When the kiln is ready, they slide pots into its mouth. Heat crackles. Flames flicker like ancient tongues. The finished pots will carry oil, water, bread for offerings. But now they simply rest, cooling in the breeze. The Reader of Dreams. Near Memphis, a woman known only as the Reader sits beneath a sycamore. People visit her, quietly. They kneel. They whisper dreams. A serpent with two heads. A falcon flying backward. A door made of reeds that will not open. She nods. She closes her eyes. And she speaks softly, weaving the dreams into meanings. Not predictions, but poetry. She does not charge them. They leave bread, or dates, or simply thanks. And the wind stirs the branches above her, as if listening to the great library of Alexandria. Though far from the temples, and newer than the sands, Alexandria holds its own kind of silence. Scrolls line cedar shelves. Scribes whisper as they copy. Ink dries slowly in the sea air. Dust drifts like thoughts not yet spoken. A philosopher stands at a window. He reads aloud to no one. His voice soft, like pages turning. He speaks of geometry, of the music of numbers, of stars that burn but do not boast. And then he stops, closes the scroll, and simply listens to the waves beyond the walls. The garden, beneath the palm. In a courtyard garden, a woman tends herbs. Basil, blue lotus, myrrh. She hums as she works, a tune that circles, then fades, then returns again. A servant brings cool water. A breeze stirs the leaves. She sits in the shade, crushes a leaf between her fingers, smells it, smiles. A hawk circles above. She watches, then closes her eyes. The plants do not rush to grow, neither does she. The painter's studio. By candlelight, a man paints a funerary portrait. The face is serene, not lifeless, not sorrowful, but still. He mixes ochre, charcoal, crushed garnet. Each stroke is tender, each eye shaded with love. He does not know the name of the one he paints, but he honors them with color, with balance, with care. The face emerges, not perfect, not dramatic, just human. And when he finishes, he bows to the portrait, to the silence, to the passing of life into memory. The canal, at twilight. Canals stretch like veins through the villages. At twilight, they reflect the fire of the setting sun. Children splash at the edges. Elders sit beneath awnings, peeling fruit. A mother washes linen, singing to her baby. The linen floats. The baby sleeps. The song continues. Evening comes slowly in Egypt. It does not fall. It leans, and the waters carry its weight with perfect grace. The hearth beneath the mountain. Snow falls gently outside. Inside, the hearth glows. A family gathers near the fire. Their breath mingles with the smoke. The mother weaves. The father carves. The child listens. The old woman begins a story, her voice slow, her words careful. She speaks of a ship that sailed across mist and storm, of a wolf with eyes like burning coal, of a hammer lost beneath the roots of the world. The flames flicker, the snow thickens, and the child's eyes grow heavy, not from fear, from wonder. The fjord, in silence. The fjord is wide and still. Its waters mirror the sky. Ice drips from black cliffs. A seal surfaces, watches, disappears. A man rows his boat. He does not speak. He does not sing. Each pull of the oar is a prayer to Njord, the god of the sea's calm face. He carries smoked fish, a carved pendant, a promise to return. The tide accepts all things. Hope, regret, tomorrow. The carver's hands. Inside a longhouse, a carver shapes wood. He does not rush. He does not guess. His knife knows the grain, the knots, the way a tree leans in memory. He shapes runes. Protection, peace, prosperity. They will hang above the doorway. They will weather wind, rain, time. His hands are calloused, his touch soft. He hums no song, but the shavings sing as they fall. The wolf of midwinter. In the heart of the forest, a girl follows wolf tracks. She carries a lantern made of horn. She wears a cloak stitched with feathers. The trees part around her, not in fear, in recognition. She finds the wolf, its paw caught in a snare, its breath heavy, its eyes alert. She kneels. She cuts the rope. The wolf runs, stops, looks back, and for a moment, the girl sees herself wild, patient, free. The Song of Skalds. In a smoky hall, a skald lifts his voice. He sings of Odin's one eye, of Freya's tears of gold, of Thor's mighty hammer falling like thunder on the bones of giants. The listeners do not cheer. They do not interrupt. They drink mead. They nod. They remember. The tale swells, then softens. The fire crackles. The saga ends. And the silence after the song feels like a blessing. The weaver's circle. Beneath a birch grove, women sit in a ring. Their hands work rhythmically, weaving, stitching, knotting. They speak little, but the thread speaks. Each color holds a tale. Blue for sea journeys, red for homecoming, green for promises kept. A young woman braids a belt for her wedding. She smiles without showing teeth. She ties the final knot as the others nod in approval. The wind moves gently through branches above. Even the birch trees listen. The aurora above. The northern lights begin faintly. Then they bloom a dance of green and violet across the dome of stars. A shepherd lies in the snow, his sheep huddled close. He says no words. He simply watches. Some say the aurora is a bridge to Asgard. Others say it is the fire of ancestors. To him, it is enough to know it exists. The lights swirl. They shift. And the cold feels kinder beneath their glow. The ice cave, hidden beneath a frozen ridge. An ice cave breathes cold and blue. Icicles hang like teeth. Water drips like time. A lone traveler enters. Her torch sputters, but holds. She follows carvings etched long ago. Runes of journey, of loss, of courage. She does not fear the dark. She listens to it, and it tells her, you are not alone. You walk where others have walked. You carry their strength. She smiles and walks deeper. The long winter's rest. The snow falls heavier now. The houses close their shutters. Inside, fires burn low. Stew simmers. Wool blankets fold over tired limbs. Children listen to the wind and believe it sings. Grandmothers tuck herbs beneath pillows. Fathers check the roof, then rest their heads. There is no hurry. Winter asks only patience. And in that stillness, the village sleeps. A civilization of strength and story. The Norse were not just raiders. They were makers, watchers, dreamers of deep snow and deeper truths. They built with hands hardened by cold, but they carved with minds softened by song. Their myths were not escapes. They were explanations of thunder, of grief, of the sea that takes and the sea that gives. Even now, when snow falls, somewhere a saga stirs. The final ember, the hearth fades to coals. The storyteller covers her shoulders. She looks into the fire. She sees not flame, but faces. Heroes, kin, even wolves. She whispers a final word. Tuck. Thank you. Then she closes her eyes. And the north holds her, gently, like a memory too warm to melt. Sleep now, beneath auroras and fables. Sleep where ice dreams of fire. Sleep in the land of the Norse. Good night from the Northlands. The mist drapes the mountains like silk, soft and endless, folding time into silence. Ancient China does not shout, it whispers. Its wisdom does not rush, it flows like a stream over stone. Scholars walk through bamboo groves with scrolls in hand. Farmers bow to the soil, as they have for centuries. Monks light incense, not for gods, but for harmony. This is not a tale of war or conquest. This is a tale of stillness, of thought, of the quiet brilliance that shaped a civilization. In a valley surrounded by mountains, there lies a small village, untouched by time. The rooftops curve like the feathers of cranes. Wind chimes hang from eaves, each tone aligned with the seasons. An elder writes calligraphy on rice paper. His brush dips and rises with grace. Each stroke is a philosophy. Each pause, a meditation. A child watches in silence. He does not speak. He only listens with his eyes. Beyond the village, a scholar walks the stone path to a mountaintop temple. The air grows thin and clean. Bamboo rustles gently on either side. His robe flutters behind him, carrying the scent of ink and pine. He arrives at the temple and bows, not to a statue, but to the space within. He lights incense, then opens a scroll. It is the Tao Te Ching. He does not read aloud, he simply reads. And the mountain, ancient and patient, listens. A farmer wakes before the sun. His fields await not in urgency but in rhythm. He carries a wooden yoke balanced across his shoulders. Buckets of water sway in quiet time. He tends to rice with method, not muscle. He hums a folk song low, steady, a song sung by his great-grandmother and hers before her. At midday he eats beneath a tree. Steamed buns, tea, fermented tofu. He thanks the earth not with words but with care, and returns to his rose. In the city of Lu, a court musician tunes his guqin beneath candlelight. The 7 strings are stretched over polished wood. His fingers dance across them, coaxing tones that mimic wind, rain, joy, and farewell. A visiting official enters to listen. He sits with closed eyes and a still spine. The musician plays a song titled, Clouds across autumn's sky. It has no lyrics, but both men understand its meaning completely. A philosopher stands before his students beneath a ginkgo tree. He wears simple robes. His hands remain behind his back. His voice is calm. He speaks not in answers, but in questions. What is a good life? He asks. To feed the hungry? To honor one's parents? To control one's thoughts? The students do not reply immediately. They are not taught to answer. They are taught to think. Along the Yangtze River, a fisherman rows his flat-bottomed boat through early mist. He does not use a net today. He uses a trained cormorant bird. Tied loosely by a string, it dives and retrieves fish. He rewards it with rice and strokes its feathers gently. The river whispers against the hull. The clouds move slowly above. Behind him, a basket of silver fish gleams faintly in the morning light. In a monastery, tucked into a mountain cliff, monks rise with the sun. The bell rings once slow and deep. They file into the meditation hall, bare feet on cold stone. Their robes rustle but never drag. They sit in stillness, backs straight, hands folded, eyes half closed. Inhale, exhale, inhale again. The wind outside mimics the breath inside. And for an hour, there is nothing but unity. In a tea house overlooking the Lee River, an old woman brews oolong with practiced grace. She warms the pot, rinses the leaves, pours in a slow spiral. Her guest is a merchant, young and nervous. She offers him the first Koopa gesture of peace. He drinks, sighs, smiles. His words slow down. His eyes relax. She refills his cup without asking. They say little, but say everything. In the Imperial Archives, a scribe copies ancient texts onto bamboo strips. He dips his brush with precision. His writing is angled, strong, yet flowing. In the margins, he notes ideas not because he must, but because he hopes someone in the future will understand these words, not as fact, but as wisdom. A lantern burns beside him. His breath fogs slightly in the cool air. He does not hurry. His task is holy. In the mountains near Chengdu, a healer gathers herbs: angelica, ginseng, licorice, lotus seed. She hums as she walks, each note attuned to the forest. She returns to her hut, crushes the herbs, mixes them with spring water, and boils them into tea. A patient arrives, a traveler with sore legs from many miles. The healer speaks softly, examines gently, administers slowly. The traveler sips, rests, smiles. And the healer bows. In a courtyard lined with plum trees, children practice brushwork. Their teacher, an old poet with one blind eye, guides their hands. He corrects not their words, but their breath. Breathe before you move, he says. Let the thought become the ink. One girl paints a crane with just 5 strokes. The teacher smiles deeply. His fingers trace the air, approving silently. In the great wall's shadow, a watchman stands at dusk. He watches not for war but for weather, fire, stars. He keeps a record carved into a wooden tablet noting winds, clouds, how many cranes flew overhead. His hut is small, his meals simple. He feels neither pride nor burden, just duty, done with care. In a cave near Dunhuang, a Buddhist artist paints the ceiling with mineral colors: gold, blue, vermilion, jade. He paints bodhisattvas with kind eyes and gentle hands. Each figure is surrounded by clouds, dragons, lotuses. The artist sleeps on a mat in the corner, wakes with dawn. offers incense to the wall, and begins again. A 1,000-year promise made in color. In a bamboo grove outside Hangzhou, a man plays flute for no one. The sound rises through the stalks, like a bird taking flight. A fox pauses on the trail to listen, then vanishes. The man smiles not for being heard but for the chance to offer beauty to the wind. In the home of a retired general, a scroll hangs with 4 characters. Ju Shui Wu Sheng, still water has no sound. He gardens now, tends bonsai, speaks little. A neighbor boy visits, asks about battles. The general says nothing. Instead, he pours tea, hands the boy a rake, points to the gravel in the yard. Together, they shape waves. A trader arrives at the market square from the western deserts. He sells silk and spices, speaks in broken Mandarin. A local woman bargains gently. They exchange goods and bows. He leaves her with sandalwood and story of camels under moonlight. She gives him dried persimmons and a poem scribbled on cloth. In a forest temple, a Taoist hermit writes a verse. Heaven is high, earth is wide. I am small. The verse is pinned to a door, read by wind, rain, birds. No one recites it aloud, yet it travels. In the capital, Xi'an, 1,000 lanterns float on water during the Ghost Festival. Names written on paper, sent across the river by families, seeking peace, forgiveness, connection. The lanterns flicker gently in the night. The river accepts them all. In the stillness of ancient China, we do not find sleep, we are invited into it. Not with force, but with trust. Not with noise, but with balance. Breathe like a brushstroke. Move like the wind behind a scroll. Sleep like a temple after rain. You are safe. You are part of the way. Good night, from ancient China. In the heart of the jungle where green never ends, and the air hums with cicadas and ancient breath, the Maya built cities of stone in Timonat for empire, but for meaning. Their pyramids pointed not toward glory but the stars. Their calendars counted not only days but destinies. Their ball games echoed not for sport, ceremony. This was a people who read the sky like scripture and carved their memory into mountains of limestone. Every glyph, a truth. Every structure, a sentence in the book of the world. The city of Tikal awakens before the sun. Howler monkeys call like the voice of the gods across thick canopies. The pyramids stand silent but alert, like guardians from another age. A priest walks barefoot across the courtyard, carrying incense and maize. He pauses at Temple 4 and bows slowly first to the earth, then to the sky. His robe is simple. His thoughts are precise. He lights the incense. The smoke curls upward to greet the dawn. In a nearby village, a woman grinds maize on a meitate. Her hands steady, her rhythm ancient. She prepares tortillas as her mother taught her, and her mother before that. The masa holds more than food, it holds history. She sings a prayer beneath her breath, not loud, not for others, but for the maize itself, the sacred seed that made the Maya who they were. It is not just sustenance, it is soul. A child sits with his grandfather beneath a ceiba tree, the sacred world tree in Mayan belief. The old man points to the sky and tells of the 3 levels of existence. The heavens above, the earthly plane, and, Xibalba, the underworld below. The tree's roots reach into the darkness. Its trunk stands in the middle world. Its branches hold the skybirds. The boy listens carefully. This is not myth. This is memory. At Copan, an artisan carves glyphs into a stone stela. His tools are simple, his focus complete. Each glyph is a verb, a vision, a vow. The inscription tells of a king's reign, of drought, of ceremony, of stars aligning over pyramids. His hands are calloused but precise. The chisel strikes stone like a heartbeat not rushed, not random. He is not making art. He's preserving truth. In Palenque, a queen holds council with her astronomers. They bring tablets of observation, markings of Venus phases, the motion of the sun through the year. She listens attentively, then nods. The next ritual will align with Venus's western elongation, a time of endings, reflections, rebirth. The queen's decision is not political. It is cosmic. She rules in harmony with the sky. In the observatory at Chichen Itza, a group of scholars gather before El Caracol. They mark the shadow angles, track solstice light through the narrow slits in the stone. Their calculations are delicate, rooted in centuries of collective study. The Maya do not guess the stars. They listen to them. They interpret the light not as prediction, but alignmenta, conversation between Earth and cosmos. In a sacred cenotia, deep, natural, well believed to be a portal to the Godsa ceremony begins. Priests wear jade necklaces and feathered capes. They chant in low voices, the language of their ancestors, still alive in their throats. They offer obsidian blades, flowers, and cacao to the water. The cenote accepts all gifts without sound. The reflections ripple gently. The sky peers back from beneath. In the jungle, hidden by vines and centuries, a scribe uncovers an abandoned temple. His breath catches not in fear but awe. The glyphs are still intact. The plaster still holds pigment. He begins to copy theme, each symbol drawn again by a hand thousands of years younger. The words come alive. They speak of harvest, moons, a twin birth, an eclipse. The scribe does not rush. History waits quietly to be reawakened. In a schoolhouse built on old stones, a teacher explains Mayan numerals to her students. She draws dots and bars on the board. A single dot is 1. A bar is 5. A shell is 0. A student raises his hand to ask why the Maya needed such complex numbers. The teacher smiles. They weren't complex, they were accurate. Mathematics wasn't used to control it, was used to connect, to harmonize, to understand. In the central plaza of Uxmal, an old man plays a wooden flute. The melody is simple, slow, evocative. A young girl dances beside him, her feet light, her steps echoing traditional movement learned from grandmothers past. A few others gather quietly, not clapping, not cheering, just listening. The music is not performance, it is remembrance. In a healer's hut, herbs hang from the ceiling. Copal, basil, white sage. She prepares a paste for a child's fever, combining bark from the chaya tree with honey and ground charcoal. She hums a song to the gods of health and balance. The child drinks, then sleeps peacefully. The healer does not claim miraculously knowledge passed down like a sacred trust. In a sacred chamber beneath the temple of the inscriptions, the tomb of King Pakal rests undisturbed. His jade mask glows in the soft lamplight of a visiting archaeologist. The sarcophagus lid is carved with cosmic imageria, king reborn, as maze ascending into the heavens. Archaeologist stands quietly, takes notes, resists touching anything. This is not just a burial. This is theology carved in stone. A linguist sits by lamplight in Merida, comparing glyphs from the Codex Dresden with modern Yucatec Maya. She traces similarities in words, concepts, metaphors. Even after colonization, disruption, displacement, the language breathes. She writes, "The Maya never disappeared. They became." On a mountainside in Guatemala, a Mayan elder leads a sunrise ceremony for the solstice. A fire is built in a circle of stones, each one representing a direction or a spirit. Guests kneel, offering tobacco, corn, flowers. They speak names of ancestors aloud, not to summon but to honor. The smoke rises. The sun breaks the horizon. The elder raises his hands not to command but to receive. In a museum far away, a child stares into a glass case containing a piece of painted pottery. He sees a ball game scene. Two players mid-motion, one about to strike the rubber ball with his hip. His mother explains that the ball game wasn't just a sport. It was cosmic theater representing duality, struggle, rebirth. The child looks again. He nods. A moment of understanding, not as curiosity but recognition. At the shore of Lake Etatlan, a canoe glides through early fog. A fisherman casts a net in practiced arcs, his movements silent and respectful. He sings an old song of the lake's spirits, his voice barely above the breeze. He pulls in tilapia and small shrimp not to sell but to share with his village. The lake is not a resource. It is a relative. A calendar keeper lights candles on a hand-carved table, each one representing a Naulesthi sacred energies assigned to days in the Mayan calendar. He marks the day as Seekin linked with vision, commerce, luck. He records the moment in a leather-bound journal, written in both Spanish and Quiche. His role is not fortune-telling. His role is tracking harmony. In a quiet adobe home, a grandmother tells her granddaughter about the hero twins Hunapu and Expalanque, who played ball in the underworld, defeated death, and rose again. She explains how their story is found in the Popol Vuh, the sacred book. She says these stories aren't fantasy. They are maps for the soul, for the cycle, for the world, in the land where sun kisses desert and snow crowns mountain. The Persian Empire rose not with chaos but with order, not with fear but with structure. It was a civilization that understood the balance of opposites, a kingdom where stone and poetry stood side by side, where the roar of war drums echoed beside gardens of quiet roses. Persia did not merely conquer, landed, cultivated wisdom, trade, language, and art that would ripple through time for centuries. In the heart of Persepolis, columns rise like frozen flames against the sky. Bas-reliefs carved with artisans' precision show envoys bringing gifts, ivory from Africa, silk from China, lapis from Afghanistan. No soldiers, no swords, just tribute, respect, diplomacy. This was the Achaemenid Visunudi through diversity. Every stone in this palace whispers a lesson in governance. In the royal archive, tablets of baked clay are stacked by the thousands. They are not records of conquest. They are lists of food rations, wages for workers, details of brick shipments, permits for travel. Each cuneiform stroke a promise kept. Administration was sacred. Scribes worked in silence, lamplit and meticulous, not for glory, but for accountability. In a garden outside Susa, an old man tends to roses and cypress trees. The garden is geometrically perfect, symbolizing the cosmos ordered by Ahura Mazda, the supreme god of Zoroastrianism. Water channels run from all directions, meeting at the center, bringing symmetry and sound. The gardener kneels, not only for plants but for peace. The Persian garden is not decoration. It is philosophy made visible. Inside a fire temple, a Zoroastrian priest tends the sacred flame. It has burned for years, never extinguished, never unguarded. He adds dry wood, slowly, silently. The fire represents a shade, divine truth, order, righteousness. It is not worshipped as fire, but as what fire symbolizes: clarity, purity, consistency. The priest does not chant for show, he speaks for balance. Along the royal road, merchants travel from Sardis to Susan, 700 miles of engineered connectivity. The stations along the route offer food, shelter, and postal couriers on horseback. The empire's heartbeat pulses through this road, not in marching boots, but in messages and exchanges. From Babylonian grain to Indian spices to Greek wine, all flow without fear under Persian law. At the capital, Ecbatana, a nobleman teaches his son about the empire's satrapy system. Each province ruled by a satrap governor, but held accountable by royal inspectors called the King's Eyes. Justice is not assumed. It is checked, balanced, ensured. Not with brutal decree, but with structured oversight. Every village counts. Every tax noted. Every voice matters. Atop Mount Elvend, a philosopher watches stars from a granite outcrop. He writes by lamplight on parchment. Stars are not gods, he pens, but signs. He records their movements, calculates their patterns, predicts eclipses, charts planetary conjunctions. Not for superstition, but navigation, calendar, ritual, precision. Persian science is grounded, inquisitive, open. In a textile workshop in Ecbatana, women dye wool using pomegranate skin, madder root, indigo. They sing while weaving, not for ceremony but rhythm. Each carpet tells a story of fertility, of seasons, of mythology. They do not simply cover floors. They cover time-woven memory, compressed knowledge. In the library at Persepolis, scholars study texts from many cultures: Sanskrit hymns, Greek geometry, Egyptian medicine. They do not burn what is foreign. They translate it. They engage it. The empire does not erase difference. It preserves it. Curiosity is law here, not control. In a remote village, a teacher instructs children in Old Persian script. He uses a reed dipped in ink, draws slowly, one line, a hook, a curve. He teaches words like truth, justice, wind, sun. His pupils repeat softly, carefully. The language is not just sound, it is identity. Language holds lineage. In the palace gardens, a queen reads a scroll beneath almond blossoms. She is educated, fluent in three tongues, a diplomat as well as a ruler. She meets foreign envoys with calm, wit, knowledge of their customs. She makes decisions not with impulse, but deliberation. Her leadership is not behind the throne, it is beside it. In the temple of Anahita, the goddess of water and fertility, young women carry pitchers to a marble basin. They pour with grace, chanting verses from the Avestathe sacred text. The water flows into a narrow canal lined with tiles reflecting sunlight like scattered gold. The ceremony is soft, but solemn, a reminder that every resource is sacred, especially water. At a feast day in Pasargadae, villagers gather in an open square. There is music, flutes, drums, reed pipes, but no noise. There is joy, not frenzy. Men and women sit together. Elders tell stories of Cyrus the Great, the founder who entered Babylon not with slaughter, but with respect, allowing temples to remain, prayers to continue, traditions to persist. He was not just a king, he was a model. As night draws its velvet curtain and your eyes begin to slow, let us take one final journey, not through one place or one story, but across the soft echoes of them all. History, after all, is not a straight path. It is a vast garden, a quiet ocean, a woven cloth of memory stretching endlessly across time. The people of the past did not vanish. They became rivers, languages, rituals, songs. They became the air we breathe and the truths we quietly carry forward. We began in Egypt, where stone and breath met in balance. There, the Sphinx watched over still deserts, while the Nile whispered beneath stars. Temples were not built in haste, but in rhythm, aligned with the heavens and carved in reverence. Silence was not emptiness, but a form of prayer. Sleep came gently beside lotus flowers, and candles flickering in clay bowls carried by gratitude and the sigh of the ancient river. From there, we wandered into the Norse Northlands, where snow-laced mountains rose over quiet fjords. There, firelight told stories while skalds sang sagas passed through generations. The cold did not isolate, it focused. Wolves, forests, and runes taught us that courage is not loud. It is patient. It listens. It survives with grace. In longhouses and frozen woods, the North taught us the art of stillness and the power of memory carved in ice and stone. We then journeyed to the mist-draped hills of ancient China, where balance was the highest wisdom. The Tao flowed through mountain paths and bamboo groves. Scholars studied stars not to dominate them, but to understand harmony. Tea was not merely a drink, but a ritual of presence. Gardens, scrolls, flutes all whispered of peace through structure. The breath of China was a calm, enduring one framed by calligraphy, philosophy, and the silence of temples above the clouds. Our steps led us into the emerald forests of the Maya, where stone cities rose beneath canopies that never ended. Theirs was not an empire of swords, but of stars and sacred numbers. They honored maize not only as food, but as origin. Their pyramids pointed skyward in reverence to Venus and eclipses. Stories lived in glyphs, and gods danced in the folds of the jungle. The Maya taught us that knowledge is cyclical, and the past is not buried but breathing. In ancient Persia, we found harmony turned to golden governance. Cities were built not for extravagance, but for equilibrium. The royal road pulsed with trade and trust, while gardens reflected the order of the cosmos. Fire temples burned for truth, not conquest. Zoroastrian wisdom taught us that we live between Forsasasha and Druhand, that our task is to choose wisely each day. Language, law, and tolerance were Persia's real monuments, each carved with quiet strength. Along the way, we met farmers and philosophers, weavers and warriors, scribes and singers. We passed through mountain passes, temple halls, city gates, sacred springs, and starlit fields. We listened to old women telling myths, monks lighting incense before dawn, children learning to shape letters that hold the weight of heritage. These were not just stories, they were instructions for being human. Each civilization offered its own lullaby. Egypt sang in breath and balance, the Norse in fire and snow, China in brushstrokes and bamboo, the Maya in glyphs and cosmos, Persia in gardens and governance. Yet each song shared something deeper, a yearning for beauty, order, meaning, a trust in sleep, as a sacred act. In every land, beneath every roof, parents hushed their children with stories, not just to end the day, but to connect them to something older, something enduring. The ancients understood what we often forget, that rest is not escape, it is return. Sleep is not surrender, it is alignment. To sleep in rhythm with nature, with the stars, with our ancestors, is to sleep deeply, truly, safely. So let your breath slow now. Let your thoughts drift, not away, but inward, into memory, into legacy, into peace. The world may be noisy in the light, but in the dark, it becomes a library of dreams, a place where history does not shout, it whispers. And in that whisper, you are always welcome. You are in the presence of pyramids and palaces, of rivers that remember, of temples carved by candlelight. You are surrounded by those who came before, not as ghosts, but as guides. Their truths live not in textbooks, but in how we live, love, build, and rest. You are part of something ancient and vast. You are the continuation of stories etched in stone, sung under stars, drawn in ink, whispered in wind. Tonight, you sleep among them, not apart from them. They watch over you, not with judgment, but with kindness, with the silent understanding that the need for rest is universal and sacred. So good night, dreamer. Good night, traveler through time. Good night, inheritor of so many quiet wonders. Sleep now, and let the past hold you like a cradle. You are safe. You are known. You are part of history. Good night.